It's noon here in Ventnor City, New Jersey, and Sacramento, California. No, actually, it's 9 a.m. there, but it's still noon here in Ventnor. And this is CarEdge Live for Wednesday, August 6th, with your host today, me, Ray in Ventnor, and, well, not Zach, but Justise in Sacramento. And I love that shirt. How are you today, Justise?
I'm doing great. I like my shirt too. I always like mine.
I do. That's a great looking shirt.
This is one of my on the air shirts. I rarely wear, or in Santa Monica. I wear it in Santa Monica too, so you'll always be able to see me there. So thank you for having me on. I appreciate that. What are we talking about today? We're talking about.
I'm on the wrong side.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Here we go again. There we go.
Magic.
Yeah. I always forget about that at first because when we talk, it doesn't. When we talk before the show, it doesn't even occur to me.
Well,
but we are creatures of habit here in the chat, at least.
Most people are creatures of habit. Yeah. But there seems to be, this is the perfect segue. Okay. But there seems to be less of a habit-forming effect for EVs. Is the EV collapse upon us? Is it?
Well, so that's what we're going to talk about today. Is we've got a lot of headlines today and a lot of stuff. I just want to cycle through the headlines real fast, and then we'll just talk about it broader because I don't know that any of the headlines need a whole segment on themselves yet.
Not a problem.
But so we've got Lucid lowering production outlook because of slowing sales. Rivian's Q2 net loss is $1.1 billion.
Better than last year.
Yeah. And the ever mythical BYD sales are down. I call it mythical because I think the Chinese government doesn't propagandize BYD nearly as much as Americans do. Like it's this huge, super fake company. They're a good company, but not as the savior. And then one I thought actually was kind of telling, Foxconn. Right, they're selling their former Lordstown plant for $88 million, and selling equipment and selling EV building equipment along with that building. And what was Foxconn supposed to be building there?
I thought they were going to build some type of EV, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. It was rumored they were going to build the Apple EV car for a while there, or. There was a lot of rumors, but they were going to be building EVs, and now they have sold off the plant that was going to be building EVs. So the question that I have for you, Ray, and we'll get into another one because I have triggered somebody else with today's show. What is this to you? What is this signifying in the market as a whole?
Well, I don't think you can. When we look at it, we tend to look at it just from a North American perspective and realistically from a USA perspective. Yeah. And from a USA perspective, you would look at some of this and you'd say, okay, the sales of EVs just haven't captured the imagination of a vast amount of the buying public yet. And then the question becomes, will it? And with the advent of certain things that are going on politically in this country, specifically the federal tax credit of $7,500 going away on September 30th, I would think that does not bode well for EVs in the United States. However, globally, there seems to be a much broader acceptance of EVs and EV technologies that we just don't have here in the States.
Yeah. So, what is the largest car buying market in the world?
I have to believe it's China.
China. Yeah,
They have a few people there, from what I understand.
by a lot, right? Which I think is funny because most of my life, they weren't even kind of in the top 10 of car buying. It just wasn't their thing, and then, they started having their big boom, and now they're the largest car buying market in the world. And when we look at the world adoption of EVs, to your point,
Yes.
you got Norway up there. 92% of their vehicles being sold are full battery electric, or PHEV, which is plug-in hybrid electric vehicles, for everyone who kept asking yesterday.
Yeah.
When Zach said
What's a
PHEV.
Yeah.
What's a PHEV? It's plug-in hybrid electric vehicle. Then you got Sweden at 58%, and China, the largest car market in the world, at almost 50%. 48%. That's huge. So you got a lot of vehicles where manufacturers, maybe they're not selling at America. Look at the United States is at 10%.
Yes.
So way down. The average for the world is 20%. So the United States is at half of that. And so when we talk about some of these shifts and stuff, I think we really mainly talk about the U.S.
Yes.
They're going to be building still vehicles out for the rest of the world who are buying EVs quite a bit. And, whether that means that America is being left behind or just doing our own thing, I don't know what that means. But we've often had our own market, right? The Ford F-150s, our most popular sold vehicle in America.
Yes.
They don't buy that. It was, yeah.
They lost that title last year. But yes.
But I mean, but that doesn't go out to the rest of the world, right? I know there's the president the other day, when he made the deal with Japan, said people love the F-150. I'm sure Japan will too. I said, I don't think they're going to. No, I don't see. I've been to Japan 3 times. And I don't know if he understands the size of the people in Japan, but they're going to have a hard time getting into that vehicle, and they just don't drive those kind of vehicles. That's just not what they. There's a reason Toyota doesn't build giant, big trucks like that either.
Yes. No, it's but what happens for us is we, since the show is a show for even though it's worldwide, it really is basically for North America.
Yeah,
North American,
the United States, really.
Yes,
we don't deal a lot with Mexico. We do some with Canada, but not.
Yes,
so
well,
really just the U.S.
What we do with Canada is we get the question. Do you guys do this in Canada?
Yes.
Not yet.
Every day I answer that question. Those who are watching, who are wondering, go off to the community at caredge.com/community. We actually have a Canada channel, where you guys can help each other out and other people can help out. So that is how we help in Canada. We do get that question every single day.
Every day. But for whatever reason, and I don't, if I were to speculate, and God knows nobody speculates more or better than I do. But if I were to speculate as to why EV adoption in the States is so far behind so many of the other major players in the world, I would say that it boils down to politics. And that's the issue. When everything ends up being politicized, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, it doesn't matter to half of the folks out there because it has been politicized. And so,
I do think numbers get hidden. To your point, I think numbers get hidden and realities get hidden by that. And no matter whether you're talking cars or otherwise, that somehow now everything has to be, let me check in on my political point of view on whether I agree or disagree with that. And it seems like every 4 years, your view can change on the issue.
Well, it might. It's just that listen, the Biden administration was into more green energy, and the current administration obviously is cutting back a lot of what they did in the prior administration. Hell,
and before that,
they're cutting back as far back as in the Nixon administration. When it comes to what the EPA does and doesn't do. So it's when it's when things become tribal and get politicized that we as human beings tend to lose the ability to logically look at something, and the logic is replaced with propaganda in reality. And that's what I see happening here, as opposed to what you see happening in Sweden or Norway or China, or I mean, even in Great Britain, it was what, 28%, something like that.
The EU is 21%.
Okay, so I just think things have gotten too political, and it clouds our judgment as to what's good, bad, or indifferent. We have suspended logic for the and replaced it with hate and anger.
My saying that I say all the time is, we used to have principles, now we have politics.
Yes.
And instead of having a point of view that is what it is, this is right, this is wrong, good, bad. Now it depends on whether your guy in office is doing it or not, or it's the other guy.
The truth of the matter is, there used to be a set of facts that we could all agree to. And now there no longer is, and everybody has their own set of facts. And that is, to me, one of the saddest aspects of this, because certain things are just true, but we have lost the ability to realize that certain things are just true, and that's kind of sad.
It is. And to that point, here's our other set of headlines that I want to look at today.
Yes.
BMW is barreling ahead with their next gen EVs. GM EV sales records in the Equinox. Equinox is the first non-Tesla to sell over 10,000 units in a month.
In a 45-day.
In a 45-day period. So that one is doing gangbusters.
And just correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't the Equinox like in the mid $30,000 price range?
Yeah, it is too. As your point is constantly been for 4 years or 5 years. I've been here for 4. You've been around for 5, going on 6. It's the affordable one. Imagine that, Ray. The affordable one is the one that's doing really well. Go figure. And it has been, and I've said this for a long time too, even in the Tesla camp and all of that, is it's not that people don't want EVs. It's when they start out, they're too damn expensive. People don't want expensive. I think there would be a lot more people buying EVs if they were cheaper. And I think the Equinox kind of shows that. Used EVs show that. And then the other headline is, of course, our good friends over at Ford, Farley, completely hyperbolic, says there's going to be a new Model T moment in the EV platform, and they're going to change EVs forever on the 11th in just 5 days from now.
Yes.
So I'm sure completely non-hyperbolic, and that is absolutely what's going to happen. I don't know what they're going to do. Maybe, but to that point, maybe they're investing and they're going to come out with a $30,000 EV, which would indeed, I think, help change that market.
We discussed on yesterday's show the upstart pickup truck company Slate. I think we mentioned it yesterday.
Yes,
I get my shows confused because I know I definitely mentioned it when Brandon and I were having our conversation on CarSense. And there are over 100,000 deposits for future slate pickup trucks. Now, let me qualify this. It's not hard to get 100,000 people to give a reservation for a $20,000 pickup truck when A, the reservation fee is completely refundable, and B, the amount to create a reservation is a whole $50. So but you can look at it and you can say, okay, there's 100,000+ people that have expressed some level of interest in a pretty inexpensive SUV pickup truck that, when there were federal tax credits, would have come in under $20,000. Without federal tax credits, they're going to come in under $30,000 for the base ones.
No, they're not. Just
well,
I'm throwing my hat out there. No, they're not.
Okay.
But yes, that is what they're saying.
Yeah, the talking point is that they will. Yeah, and we know from experience that anytime a manufacturer has announced a cheap EV, it has never produced a cheap EV. But it just shows that there is an interest in that. And then you look at the Equinox and you go, there's the prime example of a relatively inexpensive, it's priced between 30 and 40 grand, where it is selling better than any other EV has ever sold for General Motors.
Yep.
So there is a market.
There is a market, and I've said for a long time, when people Americans don't want EVs. Americans don't want expensive cars.
Yes.
That's what I think there is a good portion of people, mainly, in urban areas right now, because, out in the Midwest, there's charging issues.
Yes.
But there's a good amount of people that want EVs. And to go along with that slate thing, remember when the Cybertruck was going to come out and it's going to be $39,000.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And that's when we all put our reservation down for $100.
Yes.
Well, they had, before it was released, they had 2 million reservations.
Yes.
At $100.
Yes.
People want affordable EVs. Now, the fact that the Cybertruck came out at the price point that it did, $109,000 when it was first released.
Yes.
That is what killed I know those who hate the looks of the Cybertruck say it's that, but I think the reservations show wasn't it? It was a price point. They want affordable EVs. They don't want to pay through the nose for these things. And when you say, we're going to come out at 39,000 and get 500-mile range, and you come out at 109,000 with 300-mile range, hey, you know what? Yeah, it kind of sours people on it, myself included, into that one. But I think people do. They just want affordable, and they'll go to affordable ICE or affordable EV.
But they do. But for whatever reason, and it's not for whatever reason. And the reason is that the components it takes to have a startup company to build these vehicles, the costs associated with that are astronomical. And so you look at a company like Rivian, for example, and they're raising the prices of all their vehicles. I think their base pickup truck starts at $78,000, something like that. That's not affordable. So,
and Rivian needs to come out with they have the new affordable, smaller ones coming out. And, I think that will help them because they're not doing great right now either. Right. They had some struggles, but that's to your point. It's that they only have that upper end, which I love the Rivian, except for the phone charging thing. That I think they're great vehicles, but they need that cheaper, smaller crossover SUV thing that they're coming out. And I think Justin put his deposit down on his, the R2S.
Okay.
And I think that will help them a lot. But to your point, it's because it's going to be cheaper. It's just going to be an affordable vehicle. And to me, that is the thing to look at here.
Here's a question that I don't know the answer to, and maybe you do. You look at Norway, you look at Sweden, 58%, 90, 92%, whatever it is. Are EVs are the cost of EVs as a percentage of people's earnings lower in those countries than what is being offered up to EV buyers in this country? So, I mean, we know
I don't know what the median income in Norway is, that they have that.
I can't imagine that everybody that's buying a vehicle in Norway can afford to be buying $80,000 EVs. I don't think that's the case. So I'm just guessing, I'm spitballing here, but I'm thinking that EVs are either smaller and much less expensive in those countries than the EVs that are being offered up for sale here in the United States. And then part of the problem here in the United States is that people have grown so enamored with actually oversized vehicles, because SUVs, that people here won't even consider a smaller EV, or even you can look at the Mitsubishi Mirage, the Nissan Versa. You can find smaller vehicles, the Honda Fit when it was here, and because we're so enamored in this country with XXL sized vehicles, that when you come out with an extra small vehicle, nobody wants to buy the damn thing here.
People laugh at them.
They'll sell in Europe.
The people laugh at the little European cars right here. They, and then they climb into their giant pickup truck, of the bed of which they never use.
Yes,
it's the vanity truck, or their SUV. Now, granted, I am getting to an age where I'm kind of like, well, I think I want an SUV because I don't want to step up and out of my car. It hurts my knees, and my back is getting, that's an age thing for me. I kind of want to just be able to slide out of my car. But yeah, I mean, it's different here. The standards are different. I do want to acknowledge here, Stephen here, or Steph Kent. Potential for EV market will be determined by the Kia EV4, the Leaf, the Bolt. If they can do well at 25 to 30,000, there's real possibilities. I agree. I mean, it's to the point. It's affordability. That's always going to be the case on any of them. But to that, I think it's a good segue into talking about the person I triggered the most with today's headline, our very own Justin. So I told Justin today what the show was about and some of the headlines, and so he wrote us, you and I, a very nice letter.
He did. He did.
So I actually just want to read off what he said.
I think you should.
I don't want to paraphrase him. So key points from data from CarEdge Insights show that buyers are rushing to purchase EVs before the federal tax credit expires on September 30th. Before sales tank in Q4, EV sales are on track for the all-time record in Q3. So again, and I think that shows it's not an anti-EV, it's a cost thing. They all want to get that $7,500 off because they're okay with the price with that $7,500 lower than they actually do. So Justin says, according to the data analyzed by Justin,
Yes.
EVs make up 6% of the legacy auto maker new car sales right now. Just 2 months ago, that figure was under 4%. With Tesla, Rivian, and Lucid factored in, plus the continuing trend higher, we're seeing EV market share will approach 10% of all new cars sold this quarter. And then obviously it tanks in the winter,
Yes.
as a lot of vehicles do. Aside from Tesla, no EV has ever reached 10,000 sales in a running 45-day period until now. With CarEdge insights, Justin can see that the Chevy Equinox that we just talked about has broken the barrier with 10,345 sold in the past 45 days. Close behind it are the Ioniq 5, the Honda Prologue, both with 75,000 in sales. The Prologue kind of
7,500.
so yes, 7,000. Sorry, in sales.
Yeah.
The Prologue surprises me a little bit. I haven't heard about one. That one snuck up on me. As of today, according to CarEdge data, here's how much of the new sales are fully electric in the past 45 days. So Volkswagen has 13% of all new sales are fully electric. Hyundai has 9%. Chevy has 8%. Kia has 5%. Honda has 5%. Ford has 4%. And Mercedes and BMW both have 5% of their total fleets are fully electric. Toyota, Subaru, and Mazda are way, way, way behind that as a conscious choice.
Yes.
So, like when you look at the numbers of it, things are still growing, but they're growing. I think we all acknowledge they're growing because of the end of the tax credit coming up, and people want to get in on that while they still have that.
The
I know
fear
my
of
buddy.
missing out.
I know my buddy leased his Ioniq 5.
Yes.
And he has 7 months left on his lease. Hyundai reached out to him and said, we can get you a good deal now.
Yes.
And so he's looking at, I will go into a new Ioniq 5 lease. I have to pay off the 7 months of my current lease and get another 3-year lease to extend it. So that's what he's looking at before the end of next month, is to try to get into a new Ioniq 5. This a higher trim for him, but they have great deals, great lease deals that they're passing through on top of the 7,500. So he's looking to do that to sort of figure out, because that'll take him 3 years, and who knows, we have a new administration coming through and new ideas. Between the last two administrations, I've been the biggest shift I've ever seen. So now who knows what happens next.
Well, I think that the research that Justin did really points out that you can artificially move people up in their buying decision if you say to them, the incentives that have been out there will be going away. And there is a concrete date. It's not just speculation. It is written in stone at the moment as to when these federal tax credit incentives end, which is September 30th. So those people, it is similar to in March and April, when there was so much pull ahead sales for all vehicles because of the fear of tariff induced price increases. And I think what we're seeing now, and we'll continue to see through September 30th, is this huge pull ahead for EV sales that might have happened 6 months from now, but have to happen within the next 60 days or 50 some days to take advantage of it. So there's going to be that big pull ahead for EVs. Then what happens come October 1st? It could be that EV sales in this country, I'm not talking the rest of the world, but in this country, could just absolutely fall off a cliff.
Well, and to that point, like I did a research on a couple of these countries, not all of them, and not Norway, but I don't think any of them have incentives to buy EVs. People are just buying EVs in those countries. I really got to look into Norway because I wonder if there is anything there. But so, the rest of the world is just buying them because they want them. In America, there has to be a savings involved.
I think if you really look, you'll find that in the EU there are a number of incentives in order to grow EV sales. All these countries recognized years ago that you were going to have to subsidize the sales of these vehicles to get them to become mainstream. And in this country, we saw it with federal tax credits. In many states, you have state tax credits. I'm pretty sure California has state tax credits. Colorado has huge state tax credits. So I think if you look closely, you'll find that governments worldwide where EV sales are big are because those governments offered government inducements in the way of incentives of some kind or another to get people to buy them. I think that's what you'll find.
Or maybe they're taxing gasoline and other products.
I saw something yesterday, and it was a guy with an EV in Pennsylvania complaining that because he drives an EV, he has to pay an extra $200 per year for his registration because he drives an EV.
Yeah, me too.
And I think EV owners forget that they drive on public streets and highways, and that one of the ways that those public streets and highways are maintained are through taxes on gasoline that you pay for when you fill up your car. Well, if you're not filling up your car, but you're still using those public roads and highways, you have to pay. I mean, where's that money going to come from?
That's what ours in California is called. It's something like the I don't remember what it's called, but it is basically just says, hey, because you're not paying a gas tax, this is
look at the revenue. Look at the revenue the states are losing from those people who are driving EVs, and they're not buying gas, so they're not paying the tax that helps cover the repair and maintenance of highways and roads. So of course.
But then we have tax on the electricity that we're buying to charge. But I guess that's for a different system.
That's a different tax, is it not?
And now California is going to do the per mile tax, which if they do that instead of the registration tax, would save me a ton of money because I drive almost as much as you do, right? I really don't drive much, so I'm just kind of like, okay, do a per mile tax because that's got to be way cheaper than what I pay.
I think I have 1,170 miles on my car now.
I mean, so I've had my car for 2 years. I have put 9,800 miles on it. I just don't drive it much, and most of that was 2 trips to LA and back. So
I know I keep getting notices from the dealership where I got my car reminding me that it's time for my first oil change. And I'm thinking, I don't know, at 1,170 miles, I don't really think there's a need yet. I am going to do a 6-month oil change, regardless of what the miles are when I hit 6 months in October. So.
Well, I will tell you this. I also get periodic email reminders that my Tesla is due for an oil change. And I go, it says Tesla in your email.
Yeah.
You should have some logic involved in your automated email here because you look just silly.
Maybe they need a CarEdge AI agent
That's right.
handling their their emails that they send out to people.
Yeah, I mean, it makes them look silly because I get that, it's time for your tune-up, it's time for your oil change. I'm like, oh, okay,
Okay.
whatever, man.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that. But I bet if I brought it in, they would charge me for something.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, my favorite was the addendum label that we saw for a Grand Cherokee for a spray-in bed liner. That I thought that one was pretty funny too.
Yeah.
Uh,
All right, so we have another donation here. I will let you read this one. So that
I can do that. From our dear friend Matthew Hoskin. People in the EU have bought that they were destroying the earth, so we must ravish earth of all her hazardous resources with child slave labor to save it all. Oh, well, yeah,
I mean, look, I've had this discussion before. If you do believe man caused climate change, of course you would do everything you can
yes,
to stop that from happening. And maybe there's some trade-offs involved in that, but of course, I mean, I always say this: you believe what people tell you. So if they tell you that is how they believe, whether you believe it or don't believe it, of course they're going to do everything they can to stop that from happening. I think, sometimes when we disagree with someone, we assign nefarious motives to them. As we talked about earlier, it's all politics. Like, you can't necessarily assign nefarious motives to them. If they believe that, then wouldn't you do everything you could do? But I mean, I get his point.
yes,
and then,
no, I get it as well.
Yeah. David says he just hit 900 miles yesterday.
Oh, David, come on, get in that car, go for a drive. I need you to catch up to me already.
Yeah, David, didn't you just do like pretty long road trips in your ID4, last year?
I nothing against David, but I'm pretty sure a pretty long road trip for David is 5 miles to the grocery store and back. I'm just thinking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Drives like me. Drives less than me, actually.
Yeah, I was going to say that's even less.
Yes, that's hard to do. Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, I think what today's show was about was, for me, was you can look at different sources and find whatever you want on these EV trends. Obviously, I think Justin breaks down numbers.
Yes.
Justin doesn't go one way or the other on these. He just looks at simple numbers and facts, and that's, I think, a real tell. And again, he's saying numbers are way up,
yes,
but of course we expect next quarter to be way down.
Yes,
just way down, because there's some pull ahead now because of the credit, and then winter. As Phil can tell you, EVs don't do great in the winter. I know that is, from what I've heard, that's been Phil's only real giant complaint now about his vehicle is the winter range. But, look, whatever your point of view and feeling are, you'll be able to justify it from one source or another. But I think, when I looked at the numbers, especially the graph that we showed, it really showed, again, it's just a reminder to me that America is different than the rest of the world. I don't want to say out of sync. I don't want to say bad. I don't want to say anything like that. Different. It's just different than the mentality of most of the rest of the world, especially Europe and Asia. It just, we do our own thing over here, for better or worse. And we have our own market that just doesn't operate like the rest of the world. And we'll see how that does for us and things. But, part of me wants to say, hey, we're left behind in all these other markets. They're going to build cars for them. But, we've always had a different market here. And to our point of the teeny tiny little European cars and the big SUVs here, well, It's not like there's a shortage of people building big SUVs for us over here. And then if we do roll back the fuel standards, like the EPA is talking about, we may see more and more and more of those giant SUVs.
Which the rest of the world doesn't really seem to be all that interested in.
No, they're not. And I don't think there's people hear that sometimes, and I know the comments kind of go crazy when we say that, but I don't think we're ever taking a stance on whether it's good or bad. It just is different.
Yes.
People in America like giant SUVs or big ass SUVs for Ray's term. That's just what they like here, and that's what they want to buy. And we're a very big country that drives an awful lot. You know, China might have the biggest car market, but I think we drive the most still.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that. And it's, you know, you have to understand what I realize it's a global market, but you have to realize what the local market is. And the local market in the United States is way different than the global market or the European market or the Chinese market. It just is. You know, we have been, via advertising and everything else, we have been force fed that we need big ass SUVs and pickup trucks. It's what we need. Okay, you are doing something wrong in your life as an American if you don't drive a big ass SUV or pickup truck. And so, you know, in other countries of the world, the advertising might take a completely different approach, in that you need these small cars that are easy to park. You won't be driving around for hours looking for a parking space. You'll be able to fit into the tiniest little spot available. I mean, there's different rationale in different countries, and we just have to recognize that the United States is different than the rest of the world.
Yeah.
It just is, and that's not a good thing or a bad thing. It's just a thing.
It always has been. Look, I look back at the 50s, and I look at the European cars in the 50s, and you know what I don't see, Ray? I don't see a single fin on a single vehicle anywhere. But in America, man, it was how big can those fins get, right? That was the American idea. That was a great looking car, and I still like the fins, by the way.
Yeah.
But we've always been sort of our own market, doing our own thing here. So when we talk about EVs, us people like to point out in the comments, like to point out the world numbers. We're just talking about the U.S. numbers. That's just all we can talk about here. And whether people adopt in the U.S., I think our message here today and our theory, as Ray has said for 6 years, is I don't know that it's about EV or ICE. It's about cost. Can I buy a vehicle under $30,000? Then I'll buy it.
Yeah, it's all about affordability. It's that part hasn't changed. You know, and there are many ways that manufacturers and dealers can try to make $80,000, $90,000, $100,000 SUVs affordable. You know, whether you extend the term or there's some type of special lease program, but whatever it is.
It's 120 months, Ray, at only $7.99 interest.
Literally, when Zach and I stopped at a Ford dealership and we were talking to him, and the guy said, we have 120-month loans that are available, believe it or not. He said, but I haven't offered it up to any customers yet because I just don't see where that makes sense financially for either the customer or the dealership. But they're out there, ladies and gentlemen, those loans and
leases. We saw there is one 120-month lease out there. What are you doing paying for 120 months and you still don't own the car?
Yeah, I mean that's lunacy.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that is absolute lunacy. Well, you know, we've crushed 45 minutes on a 30-minute show. and I hate to break up the party, but I've got laundry I have to put in the dryer, okay? Because I'm a busy man. I got things. I don't have anybody here doing my laundry for me, okay? I'm it. So
I have members to go help. We're still doing our AI back at CarEdge. If you want our AI to help you get your deal started and negotiate, caredge.com/AI. Go check us out. I think it's a great product. Still in testing, still improving every single day.
Yes,
So,
I've heard rumors that the learning curve for the AI agent is unbelievable, and that the changes we will see just in the next couple weeks or so are exponentially greater than anything we would have anticipated.
Oh, and I will say, just in the last 3 weeks that we've done it, things have changed dramatically in it. It's learning, and yes, I've seen the other versions that we're working on coming through that is going to blow everyone. It blows me away. I just look at it and go, well, if it can do that, holy crap. I mean, it's amazing what it's doing. And no, I still have a job, everyone who asks all the time. My whole team has a job. It's not replacing us. It's just a tool, an amazing, great tool to help get everything started and get those deals out there, so you don't have to talk directly to a dealer until you're ready to take that deal. So including on EVs.
Yeah, makes perfect sense to me. Justise, I want to thank you for filling in for Zach today. It's always a great pleasure when you and I get to crush some time together with the conversations that we have, and I really appreciate it. And so I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank our viewers for being here today. And my understanding is that my son will be back tomorrow. I don't really know, but we'll tune in tomorrow at noon to find out.
Yeah.
Because I can assure you of one thing: it'll be noon in Ventnor. I don't know where anybody else is going to be.
So you may just see Ray sitting talking to a camera by himself.
Could happen. You never know. Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Yep. Thank you, Justise.